I wonder. What's up, guys? I've got Pencil here, and here we are to do a nice little breakdown on whether or not the final walls, the last defense, the army, and by army I mean like 10 people, against, well, maybe not even 10 considering how few have shown up, maybe even like 7, but the remainders of the warriors of Jujutsu, do they need some sort of buff, some sort of support, some sort of evolution to strike down the king of curses and any hypothetical threats that could come after? Whether they do, if they do, what should they get, what they get, and how that could affect the narrative, and what it could mean for the narratives of other characters, and so on and so forth. So let's not waste any more time, and let's hop right into it. Editing me. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do happen to... I'm reaching blind. Yeah! Have it on me, and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact. This ain't gonna work. This won't work. So, essentially, this isn't canon. Whatever you think would transpire here in your traditional 9 to 5, your average regular jump shonen, if you will, what you think will transpire against the king curses due to the nature of this whole defeat right here. Let me tell you something. That ain't gonna work. So we ain't even gotta worry about this. Essentially, 247 ended off on a false cliffhanger. Like, oh, is Itadori gonna do it and save that? No. But, of course, there's a reason we think that. There's a reason that's logical. There's a reason that, despite the fact that this is coming to the sacrifice of Hiromi, a quite popular character for a variety of reasons, despite this comes at his end, yeah, there's a pretty good reason why none of us actually think this is going to work. It's because of who they're fighting. Yeah, this silly little fella right here, this four-armed beast, this big old boy. Yeah, so Ryomen Sukuna is kind of a problem. Kind of a problem. Now, some people are under the assumption that this is our final battle, because kenjaku is kenjaku and currently rolling down the hill. And if you do believe that, let's go with that assumption for the sake of this and save our cast and crew, because really it is saving our cast and crew from anything that kenjaku has planned. Let's just ignore the ending of 243. Let's just pretend the end of 243 did not transpire, and ultimately we only have to worry about this goofy little guy right here, this little fella. If we do only need to worry about this little fella, then we are in trouble. We are in deep, drastic, diabolical levels of trouble. Mainly because Ryomen Sukuna is, I don't want to say unstoppable, but I am saying that if he were to sneeze in the general direction of any of our cast right now, they'd most likely be cut in half. And when I say sneeze, I mean, like, you know how you throw your whole body with a whole bunch of force when you sneeze? Like, you can barely control how much strength you're doing because the body kind of just takes over for a second. Yeah, I'm talking about that. Because clearly Sukuna's holding back, right? Like we see what happened to Choso when Sukuna was just messing around, you know? This same guy who has one of the, well, maybe not one of the, at this point, you know, Mr. Electromagnetic Waves over here, Mr. I'm probably firing attack you. But with that being the case, Piercing Blood, you know, one of the fastest attacks in the series, yeah, Choso couldn't even see that man move before he got double donuted. Yeah, Hiromi, the greatest prodigy we've ever seen, awakening, you know, RCT, basically mastering domain amplification after just seeing it a couple times, just barely being able to pull that out, you know, leveling his control of his technique up to the level where Ryomen Sukuna is like, whoa, he's nearly on the level of me, and, you know, Ryomen Sukuna's, you know, the guy of guys. Yeah, all that for literally drop of a hand. Like, if that, like, I mean, this don't really matter. He's already starting to steam. Sure, the hand ain't back by the end of the chapter, but he's got 3 to spare. That's 1 more than pretty much everyone else does, and he can just do dismantle with 1 hand. He has 3 of them bad boys. So Ryomen Sukuna, pretty understandably quite beefy, if I do say so myself. He is quite monstrous, you know, whole double chanting, 4 eyes, extreme sensory abilities, one of, if not now, with the advent of what seems to be a casual spatial slash, based on the nature of this dismantle going straight through Higuruma's domain implication. Yeah, all that seems very, very likely that Sukuna is not unstoppable. And that leads to a quite concerning thing. How are we exactly meant to beat him as we are now with what we know now? Because notably, I think everybody in their mama believes this would be a bit too easy. Like, I'm not sure if anyone would be, well, Sukuna fan, but even then, I think Sukuna fans probably wouldn't care because they know the extra finger's still out there. Reasonably, even if they defeat this Sukuna, there's still that final finger. And, hey, depending on how strong you think one finger Sukuna is, if you think finger scaling isn't even really a thing, I mean, it may have way less cursed energy than this Sukuna, but one finger Sukuna probably still mollywops the majority of the verse. So, just this irrelevant. Higuruma's taken off the table. This leaves us with with the jokester crew. This leaves us, and at least for now, we're gonna get into someone that I'm scrolling past right now, but this leaves us with a simple crew of Ino, Choso, Kusakabe, and we'll be generous and assume Higuruma isn't gone yet, but we've seen what Higuruma has to offer, and it's basically nothing against Sukuna. Oh yeah, and Itadori Yuji, who's basically literally nothing against Sukuna. Remember the guy who was like getting hyped up, you know, our main character doing all that? Yeah. He's casually getting babied, grabbed by the side. So I think it's not illogical for me to say that the casting crew right now stands no chance. At least the current casting crew. So let's leap into the B team. Well, technically, it is our A team. We're kind of with the B team right now. But let's actually leap into the main reason why people still have hope. The heavy hitters. Number one, she's been missing for a minute. Don't know why. Man, I'm about to start crying because I have no idea where she is. Maki Zenin. She's just been gone. Like, don't get me wrong, she's appeared. She's definitely appeared. Like, in 246... she makes a deliberate appearance in a flashback. Oh, wait, no. It may not even be 246. No, yeah, it is. In 246, she makes an appearance in a flashback. Maki is alive. Gege has not forgotten about the character. So she does exist within Gege's purview. She's not Nobara. She's not Angel. She's not Yuki Sukuna. Well, Yuki Sukuna's cooked. So, like, that's different. But, like, she's not any of those. She's still alive. And well, presumably. We have not seen her do anything. Last time we actually saw her, like, in what was, at the time at least, relatively present times, was here, way back in 236. This is the last, like, most recent appearance of Maki on December 24th. This is it. We have not seen her since. So she's definitely still in the background cooking. But on Fort, at least if you ask me, her best scaling, and this is, you know, the Maki meat muncher in me, is to this guy. 15 finger Sukuna. Now, personally, I'm in the camp that this translation right here is accurate. My curse energy output is fluctuating. At its lowest, it's up under 10%. But physical movement seems to be fine. Now, I take that as, you know, he can just move as fast as he typically needs to. Like, if he's... every single speed feat that is gained here is fine. His durability feats, if he takes damage, that's fine. The only thing that's fluctuating is his curse energy output with his technique. That's it. That's the only thing that I think fluctuating. But here's the thing. That's me being generous in most people's eyes. If you think he is just at like 10% here, and he's at like, what, 1.5 finger level, because this is 15 finger Maguna, then that's the best Maki scaling it's got. I don't think I need to convince you, on the lowest end, that 1.5 finger scaling ain't doing nothing against this big old beastly boy right here. That's it. And the thing is, while Sukuna does confirm in chapter 246 that apparently everyone has been in fact hitting the gym, to quote him directly, allow me to pull up his quote, not just the boys, but everyone's basic curse energy reinforcement techniques have drastically improved. So, everyone's gotten a buff. But for Maki in particular, the reason this kind of sucks for her, you know, the whole zero curse energy thing, she cannot further reinforce herself drastically. She just has to hit the gym, I get. Like, I have no idea how Maki is necessarily supposed to get stronger. And once again, with her best scaling at this point being this silly little goofy fellow right here, who, if you go with my interpretation and think he's fine based on his physical movement statement, plus that translation, which is the official translation, they're just like, oh, well, then that's fine. She has 15 finger scaling. That's not good enough. If you go with the lower interpretation that she only has 1.5 finger scaling, or you go with even, well, once again, I don't really rock with 3-finger scaling, but that's a whole separate video for another time. But essentially, this is it. That's all she got. And that's not good enough against 20-finger. Nowhere near. Once again, if you believe all Sukunas are uniform, that the amount of finger increase doesn't actually do anything, his physicals don't get better based on what body he's in, then technically she would legally still have scaling. But look at the other guy who was supposed to legally have some sort of scaling to Sukuna. You know, this guy, Itadori Yuji, who was able to somewhat keep up with these two and go bar for bar and bar for bar. Look at him! Look at him! He's being grabbed like a marmot without his consent. Like, I don't think I need to convince you that Itadori Yuji, after a month time skip, with, according to Sukuna, just taking his word here, not just the boys, he's recognizing the boys, Baba Booey, he's recognizing the boy in Itadori Yuji, his cursed energy reinforcement technique has drastically improved. Meaning this Itadori Yuji, who comes out fully healed, fresh than anything else, compared to this one, who was like launched through numerous buildings, currently missing a pinky, missing an ear, and just walked through a couple of dismantles. Yeah, this Itadori Yuji, who had somewhat scaling to this Sukuna, just based on, you know, his physical movements being fine, compared to this Sukuna, bro is being outran. Sukuna's doing the dash, making Itadori Yuji saying, "Ugh, no way, he's fast." This Itadori Yuji is getting grabbed up without his consent, all up on the belly. Like, you ever... But you ever like picked up something and just like a squishmallow or something like that, you just squeeze its side? Yeah, that's what's happening here. No relativity at all. This man is still getting perception blitz. So once again, I do agree that Maki's still stronger and faster than Yuji, but like without the ability to amp her cursed energy anymore, since she has none, without any ability to extra reinforce her cursed technique, I'm not sure how much stronger she could have gotten over the course of the month, that she's going to leap up with being able to two-team this man, and, you know, maybe land a couple hits on him here or there and knock him about a little bit, to being able to keep up with this fella, this goofy little guy right here, Ryoben Sukuna, at his full power, with 20 fingers. And 4 arms. I just don't see it. So there's one heavy hitter off the table. Sure, she could come and sneak him. She could come and sneak him. She could take lessons from the Bushmaster himself. I'm gonna make that Yuta video too. I need to make that Yuta video because I gotta defend my boy. I'm sick and tired of y'all calling him a fraud for that. But with that being the case, she could take lessons from the main mastermind, Yuta Okkotsu, the second strongest sorcerer of the modern day, and, you know, maybe like hide in the bushes and come out and do something with Soul Split Katana or something, because we do see in 215 she reasonably is able to catch him off guard at least a little bit. Like he does not notice her presence until, you know, she literally appears in his peripheral vision. So she doesn't actually give off anything, and presumably while he's worried more so about the Executioner's Blade by the end of 246, considering he does actually respond to it with some sort of threat. He does go out of his way while his RCT output is compromised to slice off his own hand in order to avoid the Executioner's Blade. He's most likely most focused on this. So, sure, it's Itadori Yuji, someone he admits is very, very boring, but still, that's the Executioner's Blade. He's not sure how that's going to work, so he's probably going to dodge out of the way of that, meaning Maki could come out the cut and get to cut, but I don't know. We still have the last finger, though. So technically, in my opinion, if Maki were to show up and try to have a head-to-head fight and do anything other than sneaking, nothing. Literally can't happen. Just the scaling ain't lining up right now, and unlike the others, she doesn't have any reason to have gotten drastically stronger, because her curse energy reinforcement technique is literally nothing. It's 0 times 0. Nothing's happening over that month time skip for her, unless she just hit the gym and got massive more gains. We need to see something like that. Another character that we should have high hopes for, high expectations for, this silly little guy right here. Wait a minute. No, not you. I was incorrect. Not that silly little guy right here. This silly little guy right here. Hakari Kinsey, the restless gambler, the feverish gambler. He who feels all the fever. Honestly, I know a lot of people are, like, investing in Hakari stocks right now. And I think there's good reason. Because no matter how much I would like Urume to win, I don't think Gege's that evil. And I know y'all are being like, really, Pencil? You don't think Gege is that evil? Or have we been reading the same manga? Yeah, I know, but presumably I would give Urume even less narrative weight than Hakari, despite being introduced sooner. And I'm not sure, like, unless Urume starts, like, thinking with their head and starts removing Hakari's head, I highly doubt anything they're going to do is actually going to do anything. And we've cut away from this fight enough times. I think Hakari's just going to get the dub. But the thing is, right? Hakari is out here getting pierced and dominated by, like, ice spears. Bro's getting torn through by ice spears through his body. Bro's getting... Well, no, he's not getting. He's launching Urume through multiple buildings, doing minimal damage. Look at this. Not even a scratch on them. We got Hakari Kinji out here getting frozen and shattered by ice. So this is Jackpot Hakari. And this is the main man himself. This is the beefiest we've ever seen him. Unless 777 rolls through and gives us something else, at least scaling-wise, he's struggling with the cook. And need to remind you what happened when the cook spoke in the presence of Satoru. One-tapped. So despite him being a heavy hitter, despite him having, according to Urume themselves, his regenerative speed is so incredible. In that and nothing else, he surpasses even Master Sukuna and Satoru Gojo. So, like, sure, he has the best regen speed, crazy immortality, a fantastic domain, and Sukuna's domain is presumably still down, so he still has that nerf on him and all that, meaning Hakari should be safe to just domain roll. If Hakari's durability is as bad as we think, or if, you know, his durability is fantastic, it's just that he's getting pierced up by these ice spears. What's a dismantle to his dome piece gonna do to him? What is a spatial slash to his neck gonna do to him? Like, sure, he can regenerate from a lot, but is he really regenerating from a head? This man ain't Bond. This isn't Wolverine. This isn't... Insert another immortal character here. Like, I don't know. This isn't anything like that. Or at least we haven't seen anything like that for Hakari. So, sure, he's strong, but his best scaling... outside of Urume, which he's kind of barely scaling to, considering how little damage he's actually doing with his attacks. Like, oh no, a few drops right here, through multiple buildings. Genuinely, literally nothing. So, like, outside of that, and Urume, who scales nowhere near to even 15 fingers of their master, not to talk of the true form 20-finger variation of their master. I got nothing. Base Kashimo literally has, like, negative scaling to even Omega, Giga, Crazy, no RCT, Omega Fatigue Sukuna. Or Meguna, and that's Hakari's best scaling to that. And sure, we still do have this statement that everyone's basic curse energy reinforcement technique has drastically improved. But if this is what drastically improved is supposed to look like for Jackpot Hakari, I'm not sure if he's doing anything against Sukuna. He doesn't have any Durineg techniques. He doesn't have anything fancy. He's a punch and kick merchant who can regen real good. I'm sorry, that's just not enough against Sukuna. Simply. I mean, I kind of already touched on Itadori. Marmot victim. Like, I'm sorry, bro's a baby. Bro is literally a baby. This is literally a nuclear detonation versus a coughing baby right here. Because Itadori's doing nothing. He's doing nothing right now. Sure, he definitely still has more in his bag. He definitely has more to offer. He's more to cook. I know. But at least right now, bro's doing nothing that actually genuinely impresses me or makes me think that, oh yeah, you know, these arms, that blood manipulation boost, he's going crazy. Like, obviously, not right now. So, I don't think Itadori Yuji's the man we have to cover. The last of the heavy hitters we have to cover in terms of this discussion would be none other than the man himself. He who saved us from the curse of 1,000 years. It would be the beast, the monster, the demon known as Yuta Ogotsu. So, Yuta. Now, I'm going to slop. That sounds going to sound so bad out of context. But luckily, no, I don't think you can clip that. But with that being the case, I'm going to slop Yuta off real quick. We're going to go Omega crazy on his scaling. So, he one-tapped Kenjaku. Kenjaku, third strongest character in the verse. He's in the same tier as Gojo versus Sukuna. Gojo and Sukuna. In base. He's clearly not, though. Because we have the statement that one-armed, singular, one-armed, low output, low RCT, Gojo, who has literal brain damage, is still stronger than this man. That is a very fresh statement. That is a statement from this same day. That statement may have happened 20 minutes ago at the time of this panel, if that. So this man, who's presumably talking about full power, notably, Hakari noticed that Yuta's going to go out, and he said, "Ayo, broski, you or me." Presumably he's referring to his jackpot variation, and presumably referring to full power Yuta, and since everyone's curse technique ability and reinforcement has gotten better, presumably Yuta did train with everybody, meaning Hakari likely does have a good grasp on how Yuta's abilities work, and how strong he is at this point, so he believes that they still ain't weaker than Gojo at that point. And I don't think I need to convince you that this silly goofy little fella right here, this laughable little guy, this goofster, look at him cheesing. This goofster, I don't think I need to convince you that he's definitely stronger than one-armed, low RCT, brain damaged for Black Flash's Gojo. Most certainly. I don't think I need to convince you of that. So even Yuta, with his max juice right now, giving him Giga Crazy Slop, is capped by that statement. And once again, considering Kenjaku, who many people believe, and heck, for the longest time I believe, but maybe I have to kick bro down depending on how you interpret 243, for who was longest believed to be the third strongest character in the verse, he was still nowhere near on the level of Gojo or Sukuna. He just simply wasn't. 15-finger Sukuna or Meguna, not to talk of true form 20-finger Sukuna. He just wasn't on that level. And by proxy, even with Yuta one-shotting him, that does not magically put him on that level, or even transcending one-armed, brain-damaged, low-output RCT-less Gojo. But no, low-output RCT, not RCT-less. That's all we got. We have no other options from that. Angel's not dropping. Angel's clearly sitting back, not doing anything. They know they're going to get cleaved in half the next time they run into Sukuna and try to pull anything. Bird Strike, unfortunately, Sukuna is aware of the almighty power of the crazy Bird Strike and simply does not wish to interfere with it. He knows his place in the world and will always react to Bird Strike with the utmost of seriousness. So unfortunately, we cannot trust Ryomen Sukuna with this. He knows the truth. And considering he's likely going to get Kamutoke back, if Higuruma actually gets got and the technique shuts down, he has the perfect counter to Bird Strike. Miwa can't even wield a sword anymore. And I'm sorry, I've seen all the Miwa fans huff copium like, oh, she don't need a sword, she's got something else. Yeah, that ain't happening. You think, if this man is out here perception blitzing people who are trying to hit broski with piercing blood, a speed of sound attack at the bare minimum, bullets travel at that speed too. We've never seen bullets get reinforced with cursed energy or anything like that. Have we? I don't think so. But, I don't think that's ever been a thing. Actually, no, we've seen bullets made of cursed energy. We've never seen someone, reinforce a Splagooter and then launch the Splagooter with cursed energy reinforcement until he gets a billion times stronger or faster. So we've already seen what someone with a Splagooter would do to Sukuna. It's just simply not enough. Who else we got? Momo? Maki? Once again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Maki would speak in Sukuna's general direction and his throat would explode. Panda, he's a protein pack. That worthless piece of junk, he is nothing to the girth that is 20-finger Sukuna. Clearly. The Shiesty Sorcerer, irrelevant. Not even able to do any damage with the Ratio Blade. Sure, he may not be wielding Ryu yet. Who knows? No one's ever fought Ryu and lived to tell the tale. But, come on. Shiesty ain't doing all that. So, even with our best boys, our heaviest hitters accounted for in their previous scaling, in their most recent scaling, and some just having genuine straight-up interactions with the man, like Yuji Tadori, who should be one of our heavy hitters. He is listed with the other three. Obviously, he's also our main character. And also, he's obviously got a buff. No one's really doing it. So I think it's soft enough to say that our casting crew does need a buff. Because realize, Sukuna's been playful. He's been playful. The only person he may have not been a little bit playful against was Higuruma, but that's even a lie. Because you see what he's doing with Higuruma. He's just saying, bro, you got talent? Alright, bro. Go ahead. Cook up a little bit. I'll only remove your arms. Alright, fine. I'm getting a little bit bored. I'll remove your thighs. Alright, fine. I'm getting a little bit bored. I'll remove your head. So, sure, he's still messing around. He's babying our casting crew. The only time he did it was poor Choso, man. That's not. I don't get the. Well, I get the bias because he's probably seen blood manipulation enough times. He's like, I'm bored. You didn't pull any new tricks. Go. But that's it. He's still playing around. Not to talk of if he gets remotely serious or gets remotely bored and just starts dropping them left and right like flies. So I think it is pretty clear that our casting crew does not scale, and for in order for them to do anything against Sukuna, they're gonna need a buff. Stay hydrated, folks. But, of course, the question is, how big of a buff do we really need to give the casting crew for them to take down Sukuna? Quite large. Quite large. Because here's the thing, right? I'm personally in the camp. Now, I know this is going to sound blasphemous coming from a Gojo Blazer, but I'm personally in the camp that if you were to res Gojo right now, right this instant, fully heal him up, do everything with that, and give him and Sukuna back their domains too, and heal the brain damage perfectly and all that. If Sukuna doesn't already have his domain back, he's fully restored his flash, so maybe he does have it back at this point, but we don't know because he's still holding back I still think Gojo would lose. Much quicker than before. 4 arms, double chance, spatial slashes flying at Gojo's head. I don't know, if he couldn't react to that off of 4 black flashes when Sukuna was on 2 HP, I highly doubt he's going to react to a full health Sukuna. Launching out them bad boys. Oogling and giggling and wiggling with his belly mouth. So, if I don't think Gojo, the clear second strongest character in the verse, isn't going to do anything to Sukuna, how big of a buff do you think these characters, who couldn't tickle Gojo's toes, are going to do against Sukuna? How big of a buff? They need to somehow surpass him. I hate to say it, but right now, this guy can no longer. This silly little fella right here, he can no longer be the benchmark for the heroes in the verse. He can't. He simply cannot for our cast to win. They need to surpass him. But the issue is, up until his final glazing moment, this guy was way too powerful compared to the rest of our cast and crew. Obviously, he wasn't powerful enough to get rid of Sukuna. But still, he was way too powerful for our cast and crew. On his own. You could throw Gojo against the whole cast and crew and they'd lose in moments if he was playing around, most likely. Remember, this is the same guy who can just casually belly tap Gojo. Well, not Gojo. I mean, a distant relative to the Gojo clan and Yuta Kotsu and Hakari Kinji, and they're immediately, like, casual taps. They need to surpass him. How? I don't know. I'm going to say the famous line. Sorcerer growth is non-linear. My friends, my commenters, people on other platforms, they've been quoting that back to me. But my issue is, right, with them getting a buff and them getting a buff that drastic is it's the gap has been established to be too wide. It's been established to be too wide for me to go with this sorcerer growth is non-linear thing. Because, like, sure, it's non-linear. We've seen characters make massive leaps in ability just based off awakening, just based off liberation. Like, once again, liberated Yuji being as powerful as he is after being freed from Sukuna. Crazy! Maki going from, what? Maybe a low grade 1, high grade 2 to Toji Zenin tier after simply losing his sister. His sister? Lord. Losing her sister. Crazy! But the gap that is so wide, the chasm, it's not even a gap realistically, it's the chasm between the crew and Gojo, the Shiesty Sorcerer and Gojo, between Kusakabe Choso and Gojo, between Itadori and Gojo, it's so wide that them clearing it, I'm not sure if I can excuse that as okay. Even with the very well established pre-built-in excuse for power growth and power growth that is sorcerer growth is non-linear. Even with that established, I just can't, I'm not sure if I can really buy that. I'm not sure if I can really be like, okay, yeah, that's fine. You're telling me, and like this is the question for all the people who do use that, you're telling me you'd be okay with Itadori Yuji, who's clearly, easily being portrayed as nowhere near Sukuna's level. You'd be okay with him just suddenly, boom, having like an awakening, I guess, accepting his true nature in the role, or whatever, some world awakening, something like that, and he's now able to box with Sukuna? Would y'all be okay with that? Like, that's a genuine question on my end. Because personally, I wouldn't. In my opinion, it wouldn't make much sense for Sukuna to suddenly go from, oh yeah, I'm clearly the strongest character in the verse, to, oh no, I'm getting pressed by Itadori Yuji. Or like, say, best case scenario happens, right? Let's say, well, admittedly not best case scenario. Best case scenario happens, this works. The final chapter of Gambit works and they actually end up getting rid of Sukuna with this. That's the best case scenario. But let's say best case scenario happens where Itadori right here did learn RCT, has fully healed his wound here, is back to full. Let's say Yuta Okotsu is ready and willing. He's going to straight up spawn back in. He's going to teleport back using Ui Ui or something like that. He's going to show back up. Let's say Maki Zenin is going to fall from the heavens out of nowhere and start throwing up hands, and let's say spontaneously, for no reason at all, well, for good reason, he beats Urume or something off screen or whatever, Hakari Kinji shows up. I am confident in saying this, and it's going to sound so bad, but I'm confident in saying this, all 4 of them ganking Sukuna right now still wouldn't be enough. Because of the gap. Because of the sheer gap that's established, and the fact that he can one-shot any of them at any moment. Maki, very, very powerful. Still a dismantle victim. Hakari Kinji, very, very powerful. Fantastic regeneration. Dismantle straight to the neck. He ain't coming back from that one. Yuta Kotsu, very, very powerful. If Satoru Gojo is not recovering from, I don't know, being maybe sliced in half, I highly doubt Yuta Kotsu's recovering from that either. And he's a Yuji, no. So, okay. That's fine. Individually, any of these characters leaving up to Gojo level, or beyond it, which is what's required to take on Sukuna at this point, beyond Gojo level, that may not be it. But, okay, fine. They can't all leap to his level that way. But what about as a collective? What if we gave Yuta a buff? What if we gave Maki a buff? What if we gave Hakari a buff? What if we gave Itadori a buff? That I'm a bit more fine with. If they collectively can, overwhelm Sukuna with buffs, then I think that's fine. Because it doesn't immediately, bang, and make Gojo fodder. Or, irrelevant. Or knock him off the cliff of power that he's been established to be on. And it doesn't necessarily compromise Sukuna's narrative either. Of being the strongest, and the strongest being the strongest because he's alone. I mean, sure, there's definitely the counter-narrative. Sukuna being defeated is essentially the affirmation that Sukuna's ideology in some way, shape, or form was wrong, right? That he did lose to the bonds of others, those who felt love and care and connection. They were the ones able to transcend him and defeat him. That's fine. Only issue is, though, how are we gonna do that? How do we buff them? How do we break them? How do we make them better? I don't know. Maybe that'll be another video. But for a quick wrap up, I do believe Sukuna's way too powerful. At least right now for our current cast and crew with all their established scaling. Whether it be the heavy hitters, whether it be the fodder. I also do believe that our cast and crew surpassing Gojo individually, not necessarily the best idea. Whether it be Itadori Yuji, whether it be Hakari Kinji, whether it be Yuta Kotsu, whether it be Maki Zenin. As much as I love all those characters, I don't necessarily want them surpassing Gojo all too quickly. And remember, Gojo isn't even really the benchmark they need to surpass. They need to surpass this guy. I don't really rock with that idea. I kind of do not want him to be so casually surpassed just like that. And top that off with the fact that I do think that Ryomen Sukuna does kind of still need to lose. So ultimately him being undefeatable kind of is a little bit rough. But at the same time, I don't want everyone to suddenly surpass Gojo because, the narrative stuff and the character writing that goes along with that. But with them as a collective, if they all got specific buffs and were able to gank Sukuna and keep Sukuna in this more passive and playful mood where he can slip up, where he can make a mistake, where his own actions and playfulness would lead to his end, like him chopping off his hand here while still having low RCT, then I'd be fine with that. I'd be more than fine with them getting buffed up enough that them together as a collective can surpass the level of their mentor and achieve what he could not in the defeat of Ryomen Sukuna. So, what do you guys think? Please let me know in the comment section down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave. Please leave. Help them. Help them all. I'm getting, these passwords are getting way too long. Help them all. That's a 5-word. But help them all in the comment section down below. I'd like to thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that little notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do happen to have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You can also now become a member to the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks will include the live reaction to the very next chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen. Now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dago the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members, Recliner Plays, Red Wolf 4765, Greyhound, and Akid's Void. And I'd like to give another thank you to our $5 patrons, Victor, Sean, Midnight Gemlord, Kevin, DemixLND, and Igneal. And I'd like to give a chunky old thank you to our $7 member, Autumn's Morning Lazo. And I'd like to give another chunka thank you to our $10 patrons, Robbie Uchiha, Joaquin, Idemokami, and China Doll 09. I'd like to give a hefty tractor thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. I'd like to give another giga gargantuan thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.